Hi, Movie Chronicles here. Ever wondered what life would be like in the absence of love? Have you ever even thought of a life without being loved? For some people, it's a total tragedy to live life all alone without the ones we like and love. The same story is shown in today's drama film, Lady Macbeth. The first scene features a character named Catherine, married to a man named Alexander Lester. Alexander is a soulless rich man who is much older than Catherine. After all the wedding rituals have been completed, Catherine's maid, Anna, assists her in changing at home. Anna asks Catherine if she is nervous, to which Catherine responds no. Following that, Alexander enters the room and inquires about her comfort level. He also instructs Catherine not to leave the house from now on. Catherine expresses her desire to enjoy the fresh air outside, but Alexander orders her to remove her nightgown before she can finish. She innocently removes her clothes and stands naked, with no complaints. On the other hand, Alexander only looks at her for a few moments before falling asleep. Catherine stays at home the next day, her life devoid of flavor and excitement. After dinner, one night, Alexander's father, Boris, instructs Catherine not to sleep until Alexander comes into the room. Boris also instructs Anna to keep an eye on Catherine. Alexander enters the room a few moments later and orders Anna to leave. Following that, he orders Catherine to strip and face the wall. Soon after, he begins to touch himself while staring at her. Catherine and Boris are having breakfast together the following day. At the same time, Catherine learns that her husband has left for an emergency business trip. Boris must also go for London, leaving Catherine alone in the house with Anna. Catherine walks out to the seashore to get some fresh air after Boris leaves. Finally, she has control over her schedule, and she can get away from her monotonous life. Catherine hears a noise coming from one of the outhouses one day. Following this, she checks and discovers that the working men are laughing and joking around while they are supposed to be with their work. Catherine also notices Anna suspended in midair, naked. One of the workers, Sebastian, mocks Anna and calls her a pig. When Catherine sees this, she scolds the men and orders them to take Anna down. Soon after, Anna bolts and Catherine wonders how much she would weigh. Sebastian flirts with Catherine, asking if she wants him to lift her and weigh her, but Catherine tells him he can only guess. Sebastian unexpectedly approaches and lifts Catherine, but she quickly frees herself and scolds everyone. Catherine then returns to the house and inquires to Anna about Sebastian. Catherine seems to have an attraction towards Sebastian. Catherine begins to spend more time outside the house as the days pass. Seeing this, Anna is concerned that Catherine's disobedience will reflect poorly on her if Boris and Alexander ever discover her. Catherine hears a knock on her door one night, and upon checking, finds Sebastian. He enters her room with force. At first, Catherine orders him to leave and tries to stay away from him, but Sebastian appears to be well aware of Catherine's true desires. He kisses her as a result, but Catherine pushes him away. On the other hand, Catherine can't stop herself from kissing him and asking him to fulfill her womanly desires. The following day, Anna is surprised to see Catherine sleeping naked. Catherine and Sebastian then begin to have more of an intimate relationship, engaging in love. Anna notices what's going on between the two, and one morning, she subtly informs Sebastian that she is aware of their affair. Anna also tells Sebastian that Alexander will be upset if he finds out what's happening while he is gone. When Sebastian inquires about what is happening, Anna mentions the chained dogs. Sebastian gives her a wary look and says he'll look into it. Catherine and Sebastian ravage each other once more that evening. This time, Anna looks through a peephole in the door, and when Sebastian appears to be looking straight at her, he quickly stops and leaves. Later, a priest visits Catherine and advises her to stay at home. Hearing this, Catherine suspects Anna of revealing the words about Catherine leaving the house. The next morning, Anna informs Catherine of Boris's arrival. Catherine and Boris are dining together on the same night. Boris requests a specific bottle of wine during dinner, but Anna is worried that Catherine has consumed it all. Boris inquires about the wine, but Anna cannot respond because she is afraid of getting Catherine in trouble. Catherine, on the other hand, remains silent without claiming her responsibility. As a result, Boris pushes Anna and treats her like an animal. He forces her to get down on her knees and hands, telling her that he will treat her like one if she acts like an animal. Following that, he rudely asks Anna to leave. Boris goes to Sebastian the following day and brutally beats Sebastian after discovering his affair with Catherine. Boris then directs the workers to imprison Sebastian. Boris also confronts Catherine about the same issue. Catherine isn't ashamed of it, and she requests that he release Sebastian. Boris is enraged by Catherine's behavior and accuses her of failing as a wife. Catherine responds angrily, claiming that Alexander is the one who is making it impossible. After hearing this, Boris slaps her in frustration. Catherine again demands Boris to release Sebastian. Boris becomes enraged by her demand and walks inside his room. Catherine then wedges the chair against the doorknob and locks Boris inside. Catherine sits calmly at the table and asks for Anna to join her. She then initiates a small conversation with Anna, who is terrified to hear Boris dying due to poison. Catherine acts cold-heartedly, ignoring her father-in-law's dying noise and ordering Anna to remain still. Anna is depressed and mute after witnessing cold-blooded murder. In the meantime, Catherine saves her lover and kisses his wound. She dresses him appropriately and informs him that he is now the man of the house. The doctors believe Boris died as a result of natural causes. No one suspects Catherine because the only witness, Anna, has gone deafeningly mute. Catherine also receives a message from Alexander stating that he will not be returning home for his father's funeral, so Catherine completes the funeral independently. Catherine changes Anna's duty the next day and orders the other maid to serve food to her as a precaution. She spends more time with Sebastian and sleeps in her marital bed with him. One night, Catherine hears a noise while they are both sleeping. She discovers Alexander's horse outside and learns that her husband has returned. She hurriedly dresses and hides Sebastian in her closet. Alexander enters the room and finds Catherine awake. Catherine pretends to be sleeping lightly after Boris's death. When Alexander discovers a belt beneath the bed, he suspects something is wrong. Catherine claims she found the belt in the field and decides to keep it because it will keep her skirt in place. A few moments later, Catherine is confronted about her affair, and Alexander accuses her of being a whore. He also claims to be aware of it, as it has spread throughout the country. Alexander goes on to say that many people are tarnishing his reputation. He then accuses Catherine, calling her a scumbag and other derogatory terms. Catherine is fed up after hearing all of this. She summons Sebastian and mocks Alexander by making love with Sebastian right in front of him. When Alexander notices this, he becomes enraged and slaps Catherine. He then begins to beat up Sebastian. Catherine strikes Alexander in the head with a metal rod during the fight and knocks him out. She repeatedly beats him over the head with a rod, causing him to die. Soon after, Catherine goes to kiss Sebastian, but Sebastian is still in shock after seeing the death of Alexander. Following this, Sebastian and Catherine bury Alexander's body and his horse. Sebastian couldn't sleep for a few days because of his guilt. He tells Catherine that when he closes his eyes, he sees Alexander. Catherine consoles him by saying that they did it to be together and live a happy life. One day, an unknown woman named Agnes arrives at the house and presents Catherine her grandson, Teddy. She claims Teddy is Alexander's legal and biological ward, having been born from an affair with Agnes's daughter. Catherine is taken aback and initially refuses to keep Teddy, but Agnes has legal papers indicating that Teddy is his legal ward and must be placed in Catherine's care. Agnes assumes Alexander is dead, but Catherine responds that her husband isn't dead, but rather missing. On the other hand, Catherine has no choice but to let them stay in the house. Sebastian is forced to sleep in the outhouse once more due to this. Catherine is surprised to learn that she is pregnant with Sebastian's child one morning. Catherine tries to inform Sebastian, but he is not ready to hear anything because he is upset that he was kicked out of the house because of a little boy. Following this, Catherine is irritated and desperate to see Sebastian. Sebastian approaches Anna one day and asks to speak with her because he is horrified by Catherine's behavior. Catherine notices Sebastian and Anna and rushes to talk to Sebastian, but she is interrupted on her way by Teddy. Teddy keeps bugging Catherine to play with him, so she scolds him. As a result, Teddy cries and flees into the woods. Catherine discovers Teddy is missing a few moments later, and the entire family goes outside to look for him. The hours pass, but they are unable to find Teddy. Sebastian discovers Teddy on the waterfall's cliff in the evening. Sebastian brings Teddy home, unconscious from the cold, but Agnes humiliates him and orders him to leave the house rudely. Sebastian storms into his outhouse, followed by Catherine, and informs her that he wishes to go. On the other hand, Catherine persuades him to stay by telling him about her plan to murder Teddy. Catherine then walks back to the house and suggests Agnes get some rest. Catherine also promises to sit with Teddy until then. When Agnes leaves, Catherine lets Sebastian into the room, and the two of them murder Teddy by suffocating him with a pillow. Catherine then requests that Sebastian return to the outhouse. Catherine sits back, disappointed in herself for murdering an innocent child. Catherine sits there all night, and when Agnes arrives the following day, Catherine pretends to be asleep for 10 minutes. A doctor comes a few moments later and examines the body. Teddy had bruises on his face, so he doubts murder. As a result, the police take over the investigation. When the policeman questions Catherine, Sebastian walks into the house and admits that he and Catherine murdered Teddy. Sebastian couldn't bear the guilt any longer, so he reveals that Catherine murdered Alexander and Boris to be together with him. Hearing this, Catherine fabricates a story where Sebastian and Anna are accused of crimes. She takes full advantage of Anna's traumatic mutism, claiming that she will speak if she isn't guilty. The officer interrogates Anna, but she is unable to respond. As a result, Anna and Sebastian are arrested and carted away. Catherine eventually stays alone in the house with her unborn child and her depressing life, where the movie ends. For more unique and fascinating movies that you may not even have heard about, click on the videos on your screen. Also, do subscribe, like, and comment. Your one act will make a huge difference to us.